used on my show on CNBC yesterday was this, Mika. If you loan me $1 and I pay you back a nickel, right, I still owe you 95 cents. But if 95% of our discussion is about the nickel and not the 95 cents, that's the analogy to what we're talking about, because everybody knows that the tax hike on the wealthy, which I've argued for, just to get it off the table, is such a fractional amount of our problem, but it's taking up almost all of our dialogue, and to me, it's just insane. It doesn't make any sense. Pass it and get it done, because we've got so many bigger problems than this. That tax hike, by the way, if the president's assumptions are correct, is already spent multiple times over. Right. The U.S. Post Office is $15 billion in debt. The FHA is $15 billion in debt. Those two alone almost eat up all the revenue from the tax hike next year just for those two things.
Well, it's the easy part at this point. The question is how then to get the hard part through, which would be legitimate spending cuts, changes to our entitlement programs that make them more solvent. And I would think the only way that happens is if they agree to do it together, that they don't lay it on one or the other. Who do you think of the two has the guts to do that?
I don't think either of them have the guts, Mika. And I spoke with some Congress folks about this, you know, off the record or sort of off camera. And I said, guys, it seems clear that both parties don't want to be the one to have to tell the American people the truth. Right. They don't want to have to say, I'm sorry, because when you're talking about health care, you're talking about people's lives, their mothers, their brothers, their children, their grandparents. It's an emotional issue. So they don't want to have to be, they're trying to force the other party to be the ones that go and say, I'm sorry, we're going to have to cut back on medical care for mom. And politically, that is extremely difficult to do. That's why I worry. Nobody wants to be the grown-up in the room to deliver the bad news. And I'll leave you with this. In 1967, a couple years after Medicare started, it spent $3 billion, which is about 20 to 25 billion in today's dollars. It now spends more than $500 billion a year. It's had a 20,000% increase in spending. We have a $63 trillion with a T structural deficit for Medicare and Social Security by 2035. What is